Hey, how's it going? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So you mind introducing yourself?
Hi. So my name is Kong in English. I'm 22 years old, and I was born and raised and grew up in Thailand most of my life. And I'm now a last year student at Chulalongkorn University, and I study political science.
Oh, nice. And then, so do I understand you're a polyglot, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how many languages you speak?
For now, I can speak 6 languages. So Thai, my first languages, and English, French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm currently learning Russian, but that's slowly coming.
Okay. Russian sounds intense, actually.
It is. Oh my god.
So then, so obviously there's lots of languages in the world, and you chose 6 of them so far. Like, what has influenced which languages you learned?
I think I tend to pick the languages that I feel most connected with, or that I have like relations with. So I would say I start learning Italian just because I have a lot of Italian friends at that moment, and I wanted to be able to understand them when we were hanging out. So I just like start learning Italian. And for Spanish, it's just like I was watching a lot of TV shows on Netflix in that moment, the Money Heist and all those, and it really inspired me to to learn Spanish. So I just start learning Spanish. So it's basically whatever I was interested to or had connection with at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so to my understanding, when we first spoke, like your motivation to travel, you felt like it started when you were young. You want to talk about that?
Yes. So my parents has always like encouraged me to go abroad, and I think I'm very lucky that when I was 15 I was able to go to the US and spend 1 year there. It was like my sophomore year of high school, and I was living with an American family. And then after that year, I had a lot of fun, lots of ups and downs, of course, 'cause that's normal for like living abroad at that age. And after that, I came back to Thailand, and I feel like I want to have that moment again of like living abroad and like the excitement of like waking up every day and like having to go out there and like meet people. So that just like kind of became like my interest after I came back to Thailand. And I feel like Thailand is no longer my home. Some people might think like, how is it a good thing that like Thailand is no longer your home? Like, this is where you're born, is like where your parents and your family, your friends are. But I feel like that is actually the best thing that ever happened to me. That to feel like I am no longer confined to the society that I was born into. And after that, I just kind of like have more curiosity about the world. And about like getting to know different people from different cultures. So after that, my life has kind of like go into the direction of like with a lot of people and just like exploring the world, basically.
And then I like actually what you said about home, because when people ask me like, where are you based, or so, I often say like I'm happily homeless, like like I'm not really based in any one location. Like, you develop different senses of home, right? Like, obviously I grew up in the US and Maryland specifically, so that'll always be a form of home to me in a way. But like, for example, Thailand specifically, I just was willfully stranded here during COVID. After about like 2 years, I remember I had left and I came back, and then it was like when I came back to Bangkok, like it just felt like that sense of home, and I didn't even realize it, So like, curious, that is like, how would you define home then, or like how has that definition changed?
For me, home, like most people, it used to be like, the place and family and everything. But for me, right now, home is more like the people. Yeah. So anybody that I feel comfortable with or that I have like close connection with, I consider them my home. So right now, even though my physical body is in Bangkok, but I have homes anywhere all around the world, in Africa, in South America, in Europe, in Northern America. So yeah, it's I would say home is more like the people that you share deep connections with, rather than just like the place.
Okay, so to that point, right? So I think that's actually a beautiful statement in itself, like how you're defining it by the people. And then so what things a little about your background is you're a backpacker, or you backpacked in Europe, but I know your experience was different, right? So I guess I'll let you speak to it. So like, what was that experience like for you, and like what motivated you to do that?
Okay, so I'm not really like a traveler as a profession, because I'm still a student, So I take advantage of like my study and my educational opportunities to go abroad and to travel as much as I can. So this summer I was in Spain for 2 months, and I was doing my internship at the Thai embassy in Madrid in Spain. And after that, I had 1 whole month of like traveling all over Europe. So I just decided, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go all over Europe by myself. Yeah, and just pack my bag and like just go visiting many countries. But for me, this is not like the kind of like free roaming travelers, backpackers kind of stuff, because I actually had friends in those countries and actually went to those countries not for the places itself, not to like to do the typical backpacker tourist stuff, you know, to like see touristic place, but for me it was to meet the people that I have made connection with over the past 7 years. Yeah, after I came back from the US, it was one of the best experience in my life, because a lot of my friends there, I haven't seen them for at least like 5 or 6 years. The last time I saw them was like when I was in the US. That was my first time abroad. And the feeling of like going to Europe, into their home, meet their families, eat their food, getting to know what their life is in Europe was kind of fulfilling for someone who's has always like who's always been curious about like going out there and like getting to know more people, you know. So I would say my time in Europe has been, yeah, pretty like a fulfillment of like my life goal, which is like to get to know more people and like to have better understanding, better insight of their life and their culture.
Right. Okay. So, and then speaking of better insight of culture, so what was it like seeing someone in one cultural context, like maybe outside of their natural context, and then seeing them again in their own cultural element?
There are two groups of people, the one that I met in the US and the one that I met here in Thailand. So they are both from Europe. And I would have to say like they act kind of different when they are back home in Europe. Because, you know, when you are abroad, you have to act a certain way to fit the etiquette and order the cultural practice of the countries that you are in. But then when you are back in your home countries, then you have another set of behaviors maybe. And I feel like from spending some time with them, seeing how they live with their families, their parents, I just see like a little bit more of like the hidden cultural characteristic. For example, with my Italian friends, when they were in Thailand, they were like super quiet. You know, they were not too loud, because, you know, being loud in Thailand is like kind of not acceptable.
Right.
But then when they're back in their home in Italy, they were like talking super loud with their parents and like arguing and stuff, which is not the bad thing, but it's like the cultural part of like being Italian, you know. It's like
right.
to be very eloquent and like to like be very expressive. Yeah, so I got to see like a little bit of cultural thing there, that like if you don't really speak the language of like the local people, you might not notice it. But thank God I speak Italian pretty well, so I could see like the difference that they have.
That's actually really cool, because I imagine there are some things that are very explicit, right? That any observer could pick up on, like the differences between one culture and the next.
Yeah.
So like what advantages do you think of, or like have you experienced in, you know, your understanding the language and being able to pick up those more nuanced differences?
So yeah, of course, speaking a lot of languages has some advantage. You know, like, I mean, of course, English is a universal language and you can talk with like most people, of course, but not all type of people. There will always be like people who don't speak English well or don't know English at all. And me knowing the native languages is like a benefit, because I can understand them more. I can understand like their actions, the reasons behind their actions more. And I also think that they also feel more comfortable with me, feel more open with me when I speak in their languages. So I think like the advantage that I have was that I speak their local languages, their native languages, and I was able to understand and like build stronger connections with them. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of like that one quote here is like something along the lines, if you want to like touch a man's heart, you got to speak in their language or in their tongue. That's definitely true. So then now I'm curious about like when people are in your culture context, like within Thailand.
Yeah.
So then how is it like when you're in Thailand and you see, I guess your perception of foreigners when they're here?
The foreigners in Thailand, there are many types of foreigners in Thailand. There are, of course, like the good ones and the bad ones. But I think now that I'm more perceptive of like the culture, cultural differences, and now that I'm more like have more appreciation for my culture, and that I can compare and contrast my own culture to their culture, I can tell that the foreigners in Thailand, they're pretty particular. Let's just say that they're both the good ones and the bad ones, and the bad ones are like the ones who come to Thailand and like bring the habits that they have back home wherever they're from to Thailand. And sometimes that is not always like the best thing, is to carry the habits that you have back home into another culture, another completely different culture, different country. You have to adapt in order to survive and like to get along with the people there. But I see that like some people come here and they bring like some of the things that are for Thai people considered rude or like inappropriate, and they use it here. And that is like something that I see quite often when I go to, for example, Khao San Road or the touristic places. I see these people yelling or raising their voice against like the local Thai people, who are always super humble, super respectful, even though like there's the language barrier. And yeah, that's just like something that I observe from my daily life, and I think like, oh, I wish these people have more. I wish they were more sensitive about like cultural differences and the importance of like having to adapt and like learn the etiquettes or the cultural practice of another culture.
Right.
Because that is important. I feel like if you can learn the etiquettes of like another culture, then you would be treated well as well, because like you show respect to them, of course they will show respect to you, and that just makes you in general a better person, or have more empathy with other people.
100%. Like, actually, one of the things I love about Thai people, or just being in Thailand, so I've never been to France, but I often hear like the cliche, like you can never speak French good enough for them, or like, the But so, like I said, I haven't had that experience because I just don't know. But like in hearing that, I feel like Thai people are the exact opposite of that spectrum. Like I'll say like the most basic word in Thai or something like that, and you can just feel the appreciation, like when you just when they just see you trying just like a little bit. That's like one of the reasons I love it here.
Yeah, because Thai people, we love when like the foreigners can. Even you speak a little like little phrase like "Sawadee krap," they're like you can put a smile on their face. Like we really appreciate like the people from abroad who make even a little small amount of effort to to talk with us. And I don't know how it is with like the people in France or like in other countries, but in Thailand we love foreigners who are willing to learn our language and who have the respect for our culture.
And then, so like to your earlier point, because I'm curious, well, one, I think it would just be good for anyone listening, but then even myself, like, for example, like people talking loudly, that's like, kind of like a capital sin here, or like talking down to them. But like I had a close friend of mine, she said something very lovely, is like, people need to be very mindful of the space they take up, amongst other people. And I thought that was really great. And so I'm just curious, like, what are other things people need or should be mindful of in terms of like respecting the culture while you're here, or like how they should conduct themselves?
Well, wow, that's a tricky question. There should be mindful about a lot of things. If we're talking about Thailand specifically, I would say the concept of being considerate. In Thai, we call "kreng chai," which I don't know if like there's a direct translation in English, but the closest one is like being considerate of other people. That is, whatever you do, you put yourself in the shoes of the others, and you think, how would I feel if people treated me like this? And that is like the main attribute of like being Thai. Everybody, I think, in Thailand has this concept of being considerate or being kreng chai to other people. So we always like tend to think like if we say this, if we act a certain way, how people around us feel. Yeah. And I feel like that is the concept that not really exists in the Western culture, because when I was in like many places in Europe or like in the US, people tend to like do whatever they want or not really care like what other people think about me. For example, the subway in New York was like probably one of like the worst experience that I ever had in my life. Cause like, you know, you went in there and like people were like making super loud noise. They were talking super loud on the phone. They were, not really thinking like how that would affect like the people being around you. And I think people just kind of learn to like, live with that now. But for Thailand, you really have to think about that and think, am I disrupting someone or not? Am I like, bothering or making someone uncomfortable or not? And yeah, I feel like if foreigners that come to Thailand, we would get along really well, and like we would have a better perception of foreigners in Thailand. Because right now, from what I can hear from like the my Thai friends, is that a lot of foreigners tend to like forget about that important aspect of our culture, and they end up causing like a lot of frustration or not a good image for themselves or their country. Yeah, so I would really appreciate if like people can be more greng jai or like have more consideration for other people.
I like that. That's a really good nugget right there.
Yeah.
So then now I think a lot of everything we're saying, whether it comes to acquisition of other languages, being mindful of where you are, I think at the end of the day, it's just like the most smart, responsible travelers are comfortable getting out of their comfort zone. And I know that's something you believe in for sure. So just curious, like, what are your thoughts on like the importance of being able to get out of your comfort zone and just any advice or wisdom around that?
So there's a lot of benefits that people do not realize of like getting out of their comfort zone. Of course, you can be doing just fine as well, being in your comfort zone. But that's it. You will be surrounded with like the people that you know forever. You will never have like you're preventing yourself from like seeing something new, something that could be better for you as well, something like beneficial for you. That would only happen if you learn to get out of your comfort zone. For example, myself, I was not really getting out of my comfort zone until I went to the US, and until I came back to Thailand, and I decided to like just hit up random farang, random foreigners that I know live in Bangkok. I'm like, and then we just met. That was my first attempt of like getting out of my comfort zone, and I have to say like it is the best thing ever, because I got to know a lot more people that have made a lot of significant like positive impact on me. Yeah, and that have become like friends for a lifetime. Now I have friends all over Europe that I can go to their home, and I'm like, hey, can I crash over at your place? And they're like, yeah, sure. Because we're friends now. That is thanks to the fact that I decided to get out of my comfort zone. Yeah, just like there's so much more out there for you in terms of like things waiting for you, like people that could have like a significant impact on your life. And I think you just have to get out there and meet these people. Otherwise, it's just like missing out on the good part,
Right. So yeah, and I think that also like kind of just ties into in general how you say like making connections and putting yourself out there, because similar to you is like I'd like love meeting people from around the world, because then it gives you like something to look forward to, or just like a different context when you travel, right? So like, and you just never know when people may end up again. So I remember when I was in Indonesia, I was only there for a week for work. And anyway, I just like made sure I try to meet as many people there on my own. And that was like 7-8 years ago. And then one person I met, we just stayed in contact through social media. Then lo and behold, they ended up in Bangkok last year, And then so I'm just curious, like how your take on that, like, have you ever like met someone and then it just randomly, and like has it ever just coincidentally occurred like, oh wow, I'm here now, this person's here now, or they just kind of coincidentally ended up in the same place as you?
That happens a lot. Especially for example, here in Bangkok, like I said, I had a lot of friends from Europe, and I remember I was in a party, and then I ran into this guy, and then we exchanged Instagram or whatever, and then we found out that we have a common friend. This friend is like a friend that I have met long time ago when I just moved to Bangkok. And we're like, oh my God, you know this guy? Oh, I know him too. How do you know him? So it's just like really teaches you that the world is really small, and that fascinating that like out of like, I don't know how many people live in this world, you came across with this person through another person,
And then so like tying it all together, this is all like a process, right? Just like I feel like traveling is just like getting out your comfort zone, just meeting people, And then just like learning languages, it's kind of like how you like stay ready so you don't have to get ready in a certain situation. You know, I think when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone to meet people, there's a lot of talk about that, or people can, even if they're not ready to, they know how to access the resources to get that. But I know, like, even me myself, I've been to countless countries and such, but like when I hear, wow, you speak 6 languages, that sounds very daunting and intimidating. So like, what would you say to anyone that might be intimidated by learning, you know, another language, you know, like to maybe help give them that push to just try it out?
Okay, I feel like most people are afraid of like learning new languages just because they are afraid. I do not have the resource or the money to go into another country to learn that languages. But I have to say, out of like all the 6 languages that I can speak, Italian and Spanish and English, I was already speaking it before I even visit the countries of the origin of the language. So it's not really essential that you be in that country to learn the language. You can be at home on your sofa, on your bed, and you can still learn how to speak like fluently. You just have to know the resource. I mean, with internet nowadays, you have like a lot of resource that can help you learn languages. And
yeah, what are your favorite resources?
For me, I would say YouTube helps a lot.
Okay.
Because YouTube has, it has free lessons for you. Like there are like YouTubers, like teachers on there teaching languages. And also like just different kind of like materials or videos that can help you like practice your understanding, or help you with like practice your pronunciation, your speaking skills. That is like, I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I think I am able to like imitate the accent of like the native languages, just because I listen to a lot of YouTube videos, and every time when I listen to something, I pause and then I try to repeat after them until it becomes like natural. Like, oh, okay, this is the intonation of these languages. This is the accent, the high and low of the pronunciation. So yeah, I mean, you have all the resource at home. I mean, in your hand, on your laptop. So you just have to like plan everything well, have the motivation. You have to know why you are doing this, why you are learning languages. And yeah, just plan it well, and then you have all the resource already. So yeah, everything is like ready there for you. You just have to like start doing it, and being consistent also helps a lot, because if you don't do it every day, then you're gonna forget, of course, just like any skills, you know. Practice makes perfect.
And then, so what would you say your favorite accent and or language is?
Italiano.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
The Italian. I know a lot of people like to make fun of like Italian accent, like they speak like this. They, you know, the typical like joke about this also the gesture. But Italian language is like one of the most beautiful language for me, and I prefer to speak Italian, and I feel super nice. I feel like I'm happier when I speak Italian than when I speak Thai or any other languages.
Oh. And then, you know, getting a lot of information from YouTube. You're a TikToker yourself.
Yeah.
You want to say your name and the kind of content you create?
Okay, so I recently just started making videos on TikTok. There are not a lot of videos there right now, but I do have a TikTok where I share some like tips or hacks about learning languages, and it's called Kongsora, Kongsora. So yeah, give me a follow on TikTok, and then you can learn more about how I develop some skills for learning languages and a lot of useful tips.
Okay, and then finally, so what has been the most rewarding part about learning languages and traveling the world for you?
Definitely the people. Yeah, because for me, language is like the bridge that connects me with the people. I mean, okay, English is also a good way to like to connect with people, but if you learn their native languages, then it can like really tighten the relationship that you have with them, and it makes like your relationship in general like more tight, just because you understand their languages. And also in terms of like meeting people, I made a lot of good friends, a lot of meaningful relationships, just because I get out of my comfort zone, and I dedicate myself to getting to know people, you know. And I think it's really fulfilling when you realize that, oh, now I have friends all over the world that I can visit. So yeah, that's like the best, the most rewarding part is like the people that I have come across with through learning languages and getting out of my comfort zone.
Awesome. Well, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.